Preview today's starting pitching matchup. Give you our keys to the game. Plus, we'll hear from manager Craig Stammen. From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. As today the Padres take on the Philadelphia Phillies in the final game of a 3-game series. Our starting pitching matchup for the Phillies, left-hander Christopher Sanchez, and for the Padres, right-hander Walker Buehler. Hi, good everyone. Sam Levitt with you from inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. First pitch coming up at 1:10 as the Padres wrap up this 9-game homestand. Coming up in the next 50 minutes, we have a lot to do. We'll hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen. I go one-on-one with the two-time National League MVP, Bryce Harper of the Philadelphia Phillies. Plus, we have our keys to today's game and much, much more. But first, it's time to set the table. Brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971 with 3 locations, La Mesa Vista and Oceanside, and at FraserFarmsMarket.com. Padres entered today 31-23. The Padres began this homestand losing 2 of 3 to the Dodgers, but they then bounced back by winning 2 of 3 from the A's. It will not be a winning 9-game homestand, but the Padres still have an opportunity to finish this homestand with a win here today. Padres embark on a 6-game road trip to Washington, D.C. and Philadelphia after today. Phillies, meanwhile, are 28-27. They went on a 10-game losing streak in April, fired their manager, Rob Thompson, named Don Mattingly the interim manager. Since that 10-game losing streak, the Phillies have gone 20-9. Today, the Phillies giving the ball to left-hander Christopher Sanchez, a 1.62 ERA and 11 starts this season, the lowest ERA among qualified pitchers in the National League. And the Padres sending right-hander Walker Buehler to the hill. Buehler, a 5.05 ERA on the season. Before we turn our full attention to the series finale against the Phillies, let's take a quick look back at what happened last night.
Did you miss what happened in the last Padres game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind on the Padres Radio Network.
Randy Vasquez took the mound for the Padres in the top of the first inning last night. He got the first 2 outs, but then it was Bryce Harper.
Here's the 2-1. Harper rips it in the air, deep down the right field line towards the pole and gone. Little Petco porch home run for Bryce Harper. His 13th of the year, and with a very clean mouth, he will round the bases as the Phillies take a 1-0 lead in the top of the first inning.
In the second, Vasquez again got the first 2 outs of the inning, but then JT Realmuto hit a solo home run. In the top of the third, Vasquez again got the first 2 outs of the inning, but then Trey Turner hit another 2-out solo home run. It was 3-0. Phillies would get another run to make it 4-0. Top of the fourth inning, Vasquez retired the first 2 hitters again, and then it was Edmundo Sosa.
0-1 pitch in the air to straightaway center field. It is deep. Merrill is back. He is at the wall. He leaps up and he made the catch. Jackson Merrill said this pattern must end. Hang a star for the Padres center fielder. Went up over the wall in center field and took one away from Edmundo Sosa. Unbelievable. Finally, a 1-2-3 inning.
Meanwhile, Aaron Nola had retired 11 in a row to begin the game against the Padres. Gavin Sheets collected the Padres' first hit of the night with an infield single. Manny Machado was next.
To begin the night for Nola, Machado hits a line drive to deep left field. Gone! Just over the fence. And the Padres have cut the lead in half just like that. 9th of the year for Machado, and it's 4-2.
Padres trailed 4-2 at the end of 5 innings. Fast forward to the bottom of the 8th. Padres still down by 2. Ramon Laureano led off.
This pitch hit in the air, deep to left center field. Sosa and Crawford are back at the wall. Gonna go! Ramon Laureano hits his 7th of the year, and the Padres are within 1. It's 4-3 here in the 8th.
Padres would get the tying and go-ahead runs on base. They did not score. Padres didn't score against Phillies closer Joan Duran in the 9th inning. Final score yesterday, Phillies 4 and the Padres 3. Now the Padres trying to avoid a 3-game sweep at the hands of the Phillies here today. As we get ready for first pitch coming up at 1:10 here at Petco Park, let's go inside the Jerry Coleman Broadcast Center.
Let's take a trip up to the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup with Tony Gwynn Jr. in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
All right, Tony, let's begin with a look at the starting pitcher on the mound today for the Phillies, Christopher Sanchez, because it feels like that is the headline entering this series finale. He has been maybe the best pitcher in the National League so far this season. He has been absolutely tremendous in the month of May. He has not allowed a single run in the month of May in 4 starts. Tony, what is it about Christopher Sanchez that makes him so tough?
Everything. He's got great sink to his fastball, his sinker. He's got perhaps the best pitch in baseball in the changeup, and he's got a breaking ball to go along with it. But I think his ability to command the baseball, he occasionally will cut the changeup as well as have it fade away. He's just really a guy who pitches to his strengths. And he's very consistent, and I think that's why he hasn't given up a run all year, or at least all May.
Yeah, he's been absolutely terrific. He's a very tough customer on the mound for the Padres here today. We'll have more on Sanchez and that matchup coming up a little bit later. Tony, on the other side of this pitching matchup, Walker Buehler on the mound for the Padres. You look at his last 4 starts. They've all been fairly solid, Tony. What do you take away from Walker over the last handful of starts?
Just that he's been really solid, and I think he's improved in those 4 starts. He's gotten a little bit better in each of them, and I think that's kind of been the path that Walker's been on really all season long. He knew coming in he was doing some things differently than he had done in the past, and that he gave himself some grace that it was going to take some time. And I think him and Ruben work really well together. He seems to have Walker's trust, and I think we've started to see some of the work really come about in the last 4 starts. He's certainly going to have to rise to the occasion here today, because you have to anticipate that Sanchez is going to be on top of his game. He has for the whole month of May, and so it will have to be Walker's best, or at least close to his best here today.
Tony, transitioning to the Padres offense, couple of elements I want to get to. It's been a real struggle with runners in scoring position as of late. To you,
to that?
Well, unfortunately we do. Hey, I've still got 40 more minutes left on this pregame. My keys to the game. It never is pretty when we talk about the Padres offense right now, but is what it is. Tony, with the runners in scoring position in particular, I mean, is that just baseball being baseball, or is there something the Padres aren't doing or they are doing when they have runners in scoring position in particular right now?
Yes, is the answer. Like all of that.
Okay.
It's there are things that they are doing. There are things that they aren't doing. It's mental, it's physical, it's baseball being baseball. It's all of that. I mean, when you break it down, every situation's a little bit different, right? I think the bases loaded situation the first night against the Phillies was different, right? I mean, you had 2 guys come up, and typically Padres get in those spots throughout the season. They've been able to get at least 1. And I just think that kind of speaks to the mentality of what happens, right? You have that first inning, you don't get a run, so now everyone, and don't think that they don't recognize that they have struggled with runners in scoring position. So what do you start to do? You start trying to make it happen, and typically in baseball, when you start trying to make it happen, you get less result. And a lot of times it just, and it feels like we've been here the last couple of years at some point. I don't know if it has been this bad, but at some point the hit happens and then it normalizes again. It's not so extreme as we've seen now. We're just in the middle of one of those extreme ones, and we just hope that one hit happens here today.
Right. Tony, let's finish up with Jackson Merrill. It's been a rough go of it as of late for Jackson. The average is down to 194. With him in particular, what are you seeing from Jackson Merrill right now?
You know, for the first time, I'm seeing a lack of confidence. I don't know that I've ever really seen that from Jackson. He looks like he's not trusting what he's seeing at the plate right now, or not trusting his thought process when he's in the box. And I think that's just only the mental side of it. I think he's got some mechanical things working. I think he's working uphill. And what I mean by that, when you watch him get into the hitting position, which is right before you start to pull the trigger, you can see his hips aren't, as a hitter, as a left-handed hitter, you want them to be even, or you want that back hip to be slightly higher than that front hip. Right now, he's opposite. That front hip is a little bit higher, so he's working uphill. Why that's happening, I couldn't tell you, but that's the one thing I see pretty consistently when he swings now, and that was just something that you didn't see from Jackson. So you had the confidence kind of a little low right now, some mechanical issues. I think it creates the recipe of what we've seen so far.
Tony, good insight as always. We'll talk to you and Jesse coming up at the top of the hour at 1 p.m. for this series finale. Thanks so much.
No problem, sir.
All right, Tony Gwynn Jr. joining us on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on the Padres Radio Network. First pitch is coming up at 1:10 as the Padres try to salvage the finale of this 3-game series. When we come back, we'll hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen. We take our first look at the Padres lineup here today, our keys to the game coming up later as well. Full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, much more to do on what should be a very nice Wednesday matinee here in downtown San Diego. We're just getting started on our pregame coverage right here on the Padres Radio Network.
Stay tuned to the
EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. First pitch is coming up at 1:10 for the final game of this 3-game series. Walker Buehler on the mound for the Padres. Left-hander Christopher Sanchez on the mound for the Phillies. As we get ready for this one here in downtown San Diego, let's hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres skipper Craig Stammen, served up by Sinley Food. If you've had better chicken, you must be a rooster.
Day game after a night game, so no pregame media availability for Craig Stammen today. So let's revisit what Craig had to say after yesterday's 4-3 loss to the Phillies. Padres falling behind 4-0 in that game. Randy Vasquez had a really weird outing. In the first 3 innings, he got 2 outs in each of the first 3 innings and then gave up a 2-out solo home run. And then it almost happened again in the 4th inning, but Jackson Merrill took a home run away from Edmundo Sosa. Padres did get the home run from Manny to make it 4-2. Home run from Ramon Laureano late to make it 4-3, but that's as close as the Padres would get. Here was what Craig Stammen had to say after last night's 4-3 defeat.
To be down by 4 early and then get within 1, was it kind of just a sense of too little, too late for you guys tonight?
Yeah, we battled the whole game. It's always tough when you get down early, especially when they, hit home runs. It takes a little bit of momentum away from us. But we fought and hung in there. Manny's home run was a big one, gave us a chance, and, had a little bit of a rally there going in the 8th inning and just couldn't punch through.
Solo shots aren't normally something that are going to kill you, but for there to be 3 of them and then with the 2 outs, what did you make of that? Yeah,
all their runs came with 2 outs. As for a pitcher, that's a little demoralizing. Randy hung in there after that and gave us a couple scoreless innings. Helped our bullpen out. Outside of the 2 outs, he was pretty good, but with 2 outs, he kind of struggled.
I was going to ask you about that, how frustrating that is. I mean, that's something Randy has been better at.
It's usually something that he's really good at. And, he was better at it later in the game. It was just, the solo shots, and then, it's natural. You give up some home runs. You don't want to give up another one. You walk the next guy, and then sooner or later that guy comes around on a C&I single up the middle. So part of pitching, it's not easy. It's tough, especially against a team like that. It's got a great lineup. Anybody in their lineup can do some damage. So he fought hard, kept stuck with it. Very proud of how Randy finished the game.
It's another game where you guys did a bunch of other stuff really well, including your defense, if you could speak to that.
Yeah, we played our tails off. It was awesome defense, made a lot of great plays, kept us in the game. We did everything, in the game that we could have done to stick with them, outside of getting that big hit in the 8th inning. So, proud of how the ball club played tonight. We didn't get a win, but we're playing it the right way. They're showing up every day. They showed up with a lot of energy in the dugout today. Feel good about us going forward.
What are you seeing out of Jackson's at-bats right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's similar to what we've kind of talked about all year. He's just a little bit over-aggressive probably, and, it's one of those situations where, I'm going to be really stingy right here. Then he takes one down the middle, and then the next one he swings that in the dirt, and it's don't swing, and then all of a sudden you're swinging. He's working his butt off, behind the scenes to try to get better at that, to fix that, work on his swing and work on his swing decisions. But at the moment, he's having a tough time.
For him to kind of do what he's done defensively this year, he obviously made that play in center, despite how pronounced the struggles have been offensively. What does that say? Yeah,
he's had a great season other than hitting. He's played great defense, and he's ran the base really well. I think he's 10 for 10 in steals, and it's his 3rd or 4th home run robbery. We feel really good with him playing center field, and, we believe it's just a matter of time before he starts, swinging with a hot bat, and he's just struggling right now, but we're behind him and we got his back.
That was Padres manager Craig Stammen following the 4-3 loss for the Padres against the Phillies yesterday. We'll hear more from Craig on our post-game coverage coming up later on this afternoon. Let's take a look at the Padres lineup today. Looks like this. Fernando Tatis Jr. at second base leading off. Miguel Andujar at third base batting second. Gavin Sheets at first base batting third. Manny Machado at DH batting cleanup. Xander Bogaerts at shortstop batting fifth. Ramon Laureano in left field batting sixth. Jackson Merrill in center batting seventh. Nick Castellanos in right field today batting eighth. And Freddie Fermin, who actually has very good numbers against Christopher Sanchez. We'll get into that a little bit later. He's batting ninth and doing the catching today with right-hander Walker Buehler on the mound for San Diego. Let's tell you who's hot, who's not.
Which player is locked in at the dish? Who needs to step up their game? This is Who's Hot, Who's Not. Presented by ASAP Drain Guys and Plumbing, a division of Anderson Commercial, your full-service plumber serving San Diego County.
Let's begin with a look at the hot category. We put Fernando Tatis Jr. in that category. Yes, he does not have a home run yet. We all know that. But Fernando is in the midst of a 10-game on-base streak, batting .353 in that span with a .442 on-base percentage. The not category, we take a look at a trio of Padres. Jackson Merrill, he's 0 for his last 11 in the last 3 games. He's batting .102 in his last 17 games. Miguel Andujar just 3 for 23 in his last 6 games. Nick Castellanos 0 for his last 9. And all those guys in the lineup today for the Padres. That's a quick look at who's hot, who's not, as we walk you up towards first pitch coming up at 1:10. Now let's give you some Major League headlines as we go around the horn.
Let's examine the most important news and the latest information you need to know in the world of Major League Baseball. Sam Levitt takes you around the horn. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Get ready for Major League winning when you join Valley View Casino and Hotel's Players Club and receive over $200 in free instant offers. Visit valleyviewcasino.com to learn more today.
Well, the Cleveland Guardians have added a new minority investor to their ownership group. Travis Kelce, the Kansas City Chiefs tight end, is purchasing a stake in the team. He grew up in Cleveland Heights, Ohio. So some pretty cool news there for Guardians fans. Have a feeling the Guardians may also have gained some new fans who also call themselves Swifties. Got a feeling. Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift getting married. Now Travis Kelce, part of the ownership group of the Guardians. A few other notes for you. Last night, the Yankees hit 6 home runs in a 15-1 romp of the Royals. They had 24 hits total. How about this? In the long, storied history of the New York Yankees, that game last night was the first time that at least 2 hits came from every single Yankee player in their starting lineup. Again, first time in Yankee history, the Yankees got at least 2 hits from every single player in their starting lineup as they beat the Royals 15-1 on a grand total of 24 hits. Today, the Cubs are looking to avoid their 11th consecutive loss. They're taking on the Pirates in Pittsburgh. And last night, the A's' Nick Kurtz had his 48-game on-base streak snapped. Went 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts against the Mariners last night. The reigning American League Rookie of the Year tied Mark McGwire for the longest on-base streak in A's history. And that is a quick look at some headlines from around the major leagues. We'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard coming up in just a little bit. When we come back, not just the out-of-town scoreboard, we'll have our keys to today's game. Plus, I go one-on-one with Phillies star Bryce Harper ahead of the series finale between the Padres and Phillies. First pitch coming up at 1:10 from Petco Park on the Padres Radio Network.
Hello, friends. It's Woodsy here.
EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. Our pregame coverage, as always, brought to you by EcoWater SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. Visit EcoWaterSoCal.com or call 760-350-3338. That's 760-350-3338. Lot to do on our pregame coverage. We'll hear from Bryce Harper coming up in just a little bit. Our keys to today's game and a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard in a moment. But first, let's tell you about one Philly, an important Philly that is out of today's starting lineup.
Who's in? Who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit them up 24/7 at badafulkerson.com.
Well, Brandon Marsh, we had talked about early in this series how good he's been for the Phillies. Had a big home run, certainly, in the first game of this series. He came out of yesterday's game with a finger sprain. He sprained his middle finger on his, I believe it was his right hand. The middle finger on his right hand came out of yesterday's game. Still a little bit sore for Brandon Marsh today. So, he will not be in the Padres, or rather the Phillies lineup here today. And sounds like he'll probably play on Friday for the Phillies. So we'll see if he comes off the bench at all, but he's not in the lineup today. He's been a really good player for the Phillies this season, as we've discussed. So that's a big loss in their lineup today. Brandon Marsh, again, who came out of yesterday's game with a finger sprain. He is out of today's lineup for the Phils. And that is a quick look at who's in and who's out of the lineups today as the Padres get ready to take on the Philadelphia Phillies. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
We have one final already today. Guardians beat the Nationals 3-2 in Cleveland. We have a trio of games going on right now. Blue Jays ahead of the Marlins 2-1 in Toronto in the 7th. The Cardinals lead the Brewers 1-0 in Milwaukee in the 8th inning. Mariners lead the A's 3-0 in Sacramento in the 2nd. Everything else coming up later on today. Diamondbacks and the Giants in San Francisco at 12:45. Rays and the Orioles at 3:35 in Baltimore. Angels and the Tigers at 3:40 in Detroit. Cubs and the Pirates in Pittsburgh at 3:40. Braves and the Red Sox at 3:45 at Fenway. Reds and the Mets in New York at 4:10. Twins and the White Sox at 4:40 in Chicago. Yankees and the Royals in Kansas City at 4:40. Astros and the Rangers at 5:05 in Arlington. And finally, Rockies and the Dodgers in L.A. at 7:10. And I promise you we'll have much more on all those games coming up a little bit later in our post-game coverage. Well, Bryce Harper, one of the stars we have in our game today, the 8-time All-Star, 2-time National League MVP, of course, the first overall pick in the 2010 draft at the age of 17 years old. And made his debut at 19 years old. He is one heck of a player. Obviously, the same draft that Manny Machado was selected in by the Baltimore Orioles. Manny went third in that 2010 draft. Bryce went first. Obviously, Bryce, a longtime National, then signed a big deal with the Philadelphia Phillies. I caught up with Phillies star Bryce Harper earlier today inside the Phillies clubhouse. Sam Levitt here on the Padres Radio Network as we get ready for today's game. And right now I'm joined by the Phillies' Bryce Harper. Bryce, appreciate the time very much. How would you sum up your season so far for both you and the ball club?
Yeah, I felt great. I think obviously it's early in the season and just trying to stay the course. And you play 162, you play full season for a reason. And just trying to stay the course best I can, hit balls hard and play good defense and, get to where I need to be by the end. And obviously as a team, started out slow. Big changes came and, now I think we played played some pretty good baseball. Coming into our own a little bit, our starting pitching has been, incredible for us. And, I've always said starting pitching wins championships. And, I think being able to have guys like, Wills and Luzardo and Sanchi, Nola threw the ball great last night. Just guys that come out and do their job each night really helps us out to win ball games.
You mentioned staying the course. You've had such a great career. You've been around this game for a really long time now. What have you learned about that over the course of your career, no matter what the ups and downs are over the course of 162, about staying the course and I guess trusting your process?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've grown into that a little bit. I think coming into the game at such a young age, you try to change or do this or do that just to be able to, make sure you're playing well and doing things good for your team. But at the same time, growing into that and understanding you're going to go through some highs and lows in the game and making sure that you're playing those 162, making sure you're getting out there every day and working what you need to work on and, grind when you need to and not get too high, not get too low and, get interested into winning, get interested into your teammates, making sure that those guys are on your mind, because I think when your mind's away from yourself, you start playing better and you start realizing winning's more important than anything you can do. So I think just trying to stay the course best you can and not get too high, not get too low.
When I think about guys staying the course, I immediately think of somebody the Padres have, and that's Manny Machado. It just seems like every year, no matter what, you look up at the end of the year and Manny has his numbers. Obviously, you have a unique connection to Manny. Same draft in 2010. You were first overall. He was third overall. What's it been like to watch Manny from afar play against him and have that sort of unique connection being a part of the same draft class?
Yeah, he every time I watch him play, man, it's always fun. I love the way Manny is. I love the person he is, the quality of person he is. I mean, he goes out there, he plays such great defense. Like you said, when you look up there at the end of the year, you know exactly what his numbers are going to be. The baseball card is so true with what he does, and I love seeing him have success. I love seeing him, do the things and being able to pick a place like San Diego. I'm glad he was able to do that and be here. So, just super excited for him to, be able to have a great year this year. And, he's had such a great career. It's been so much fun to watch. Again, one of the best gloves I've ever seen at third base, amateur-wise and big league-wise. So just always fun to watch him play and see him as well.
Bryce, when we talk about the great players of this game, yourself included, Manny included, what are the common traits that you notice about the true all-time greats in this game as far as how they play, how they go about their business?
Yeah, just trusting yourself, right? Just trusting in your ability no matter what. Trusting in the process, too, of, hey, some days you're going to feel good, some days you're not, but you're still the same guy. You still have the same number and the same name on the back of your jersey. And I think that's the biggest thing, just understanding who you are, understanding that you're really good in this game, and it doesn't matter, what you do one day. You got to flush it, come back the next day and play. And I think that's the greatest thing about our game too, is you can have the worst day ever yesterday, and then you come back today and you get to play again. So, what an opportunity to be able to do that. And I think, being able to try to just do that each day is huge for all of us.
We're joined by the Phillies' Bryce Harper here on the Padres Radio Network before today's game. Bryce, when you think about your career, I want to throw it all the way back, being a high school kid, going to college early, you're the number one overall pick. You were, as you know, one of the biggest prospects we've ever had in this game as far as attention and what was expected of you. When you reflect back on the 17-year-old version of Bryce Harper and that period of your life and coming up with the Nationals, how do you view it now in your early 30s?
Yeah, a lot of those guys over there right now with the Padres, from Craig Stammen to Randy Knorr to Bobby and, Steven Souza, they all saw that, they all played with me. And, I think, those, a couple guys coached me and then played with a couple of those guys. So they saw it and they understood it. But obviously taking good and bad from each opportunity. Obviously you're going to grow through the game. You're going to grow in life on the field, off the field. I got 4 kids now. I got an amazing, beautiful wife that keeps it held down at home. And, just understanding that I can take really good traits from, that 17-year-old and, never lose that fire, never lose that passion. But also I can learn from that 17-year-old as well and, understand what I need to do on a daily basis. So I think there is good and bad when it comes to, that type of stuff, being able to learn and be able to grow. Obviously you're not the same person you were when you were 17, so I just grew up in a way that, it was in front of everybody, right? So, I had to learn in front of everybody as well. So it was always tough, but also I enjoyed, each moment. And I'm glad I went through the things I did and, was able to learn and grow from those moments as well.
You also came up alongside another huge prospect in right-hander Steven Strasburg, who obviously has a connection here to San Diego with San Diego State. What was that aspect like, coming up alongside, another huge prospect where the expectations were sky high?
Yeah, I mean, the Nats had the pick 1-1, back-to-back years, and obviously Strauss goes 1-1, and then I go 1-1 the next year. Strauss, one of the best changeups I've ever seen, one of the greatest runs I've ever seen in 2019 postseason. The way he kind of carried that team into the World Series and eventually winning it. But he had a tough road too, man. He obviously injuries and things like that, and had to kind of come into his own a little bit. It was tough for him, and I love Strasburg as a person, loved him as a player, teammate, everything. He one of the better guys I've ever been around in the game, and just so sad for what happened to him, being able to kind of get hurt, not be able to come back, but I know he's coaching now too, so he's enjoying that. But I think the biggest thing for him too is young guys should be able to pick his brain a little bit, understand what he's gone through, understand the highs and lows of his career as well, and what a great person to kind of be around and learn from him. And I'm happy that he's coaching, because he's going to be able to mold some really good minds.
We're joined by the Phillies' Bryce Harper here on the Padres Radio Network. You mentioned Craig Stammen, one of your early teammates in this game. What was your reaction when Craig got the job in San Diego, and what do you remember about Craig, the teammate?
Yeah, I think obviously I had no idea what was going on in San Diego, right? So I don't think anybody really thought Stammer was going to have that opportunity, but he is such a manager mind. He's so smart. He's obviously relief pitcher. Understanding the bullpen is huge, and understanding pitching is huge also. So being able to kind of know those moments, know those situations. I think Stammer is a perfect guy for that job. I think he was just such a good teammate. Always had everybody's back, and he's a bulldog out of that bullpen too. Always threw that sinker, and everybody always grounded out or flew out. I mean, nobody ever talked about him really. It was just kind of like, hey, Stammen's coming in, here we go, and he was never high, never too low, just very even keel in his demeanor, and it was always fun to see him pitch, because he just kind of just came in, threw that sinker, and kind of got guys out, and here we go. So he was a great 6th inning, 7th inning guy for us. We had Clippard and Storen at that time, so I think we sandwiched in like Sean Burnett too, with like a lefty pocket. So I think those 4 guys in our bullpen that year were really good, and just a lot of fun to be around.
Bryce, really appreciate the time. Thanks so much for the conversation, and we'll talk to you again down the road.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
How will the Padres unlock a win today? These are the keys to the game. Presented by Rock and Block Turf and Hardscapes. Beautiful artificial turf that stays green all year long. Trust and experience. The job isn't done until it's done right. See them at rockandblocklandscape.com.
A lot to get to here with first pitch coming up at 1:10 here at Petco Park. Key number 1, hey, bullpen, keep doing what you've been doing. Yes, the Padres' lack of offense continues to be a major concern, but let's begin with a key that points out something that's been great, and that is the Padres' bullpen. Padres' bullpen in the past 13 games has a collective 1.07 ERA. So relief corps, keep on doing what you've been doing. Key number 2, limit the first inning damage. Padres starting pitchers have allowed a home run to one of the opposing team's first 3 batters in 5 of the past 7 games. They've allowed a first inning run in 6 of the 8 games on this homestand. So that means the Padres have trailed before coming to bat in 6 out of the 8 games on this homestand. That's a tough recipe for success. So a clean first inning today for Walker Buehler would go a long way. That brings us to key number 3, and that is Walker Buehler continuing to build. His last 3 starts, they've been solid, a 3.94 ERA in those 3 starts. That includes 5 innings, 3 runs given up against the A's, 5 innings, 2 runs against Seattle, 6 innings, 2 runs, a quality start against St. Louis. It's going to be a tough test today for the Padres against Christopher Sanchez. Padres do need, in all likelihood, a good outing here today from Walker Buehler. That's key number 3. And key number 4, let's talk about Christopher Sanchez. Somehow, some way, the Padres got to do something against Sanchez. Let's dive into it because this guy is really, really good. Christopher Sanchez has a 1.62 ERA in 11 starts this season, lowest ERA among qualified National League pitchers. But that is just the tip of the iceberg with Christopher Sanchez. He has been tremendous this month. 4 starts in May, 32 innings, no runs given up. 36 strikeouts. He's allowed only 19 hits. He's thrown 37 2/3 consecutive scoreless innings entering this start. The second longest scoreless inning streak by a Phillies pitcher, trailing only Hall of Famer Grover Cleveland Alexander's 41 inning streak in 1911. Here's a little hope. He dominates lefties. They've hit just 127 against him, but right-handed hitters have hit 282 against him. So, hey, you're looking at guys like Fernando and Andujar and Manny and Sander and Laureano and Castellanos and Fermin, who's had some success against them. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Maybe those guys do have a better chance today against Sanchez. Again, 282 average for right-handed hitters against him. And Fernando Tatis Jr. is 5 for 11 with a home run in his career against Sanchez. This will be his 5th career start against the Padres. He faced them twice last season. Both were really good outings. Went 7 innings, allowed 1 run in both starts, a 2.05 ERA in 4 career starts against Christopher Sanchez, or I should say for Sanchez against the Padres. So he is a tough customer here today. We'll see what the Padres can do against the guy who's probably in the lead for National League Cy Young right now. And that's a look at our keys to today's game. When we come back, we will tell you what to watch for in today's game. First pitch coming up at 1:10 in the series finale between the Padres and Phillies. We're back in a moment on the Padres Radio Network.
Keep it locked to the
Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. First pitch at 1:10. We send things out to Jesse and Tony inside the Jerry Coleman Broadcast Center in 5 minutes. Let's tell you what to watch for in this series finale.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For, presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovements.com.
What to watch for in today's game? How about this? When the Padres get opportunities against Christopher Sanchez and what has been a good Philly bullpen in this series, can they capitalize with runners in scoring position? It has been rough for the Padres on this homestand in particular. They are just 2 for 38 with runners in scoring position in this 8-game homestand. That includes 20 hitless at-bats with runners in scoring position during this 3-game losing skid. So look, the opportunities, there probably won't be many of them against the quality of pitcher like Christopher Sanchez, but when the Padres get guys on base, they have got to find a way to cash in today. Can they do that against Christopher Sanchez and this Phillies pen? We're going to find out. That's what to watch for in today's game. Another note on today's game, Freddie Fermin, who is batting 9th and doing the catching today. Small sample size, but Freddie is 2 for 2 with 2 home runs against Christopher Sanchez in his career. So keep an eye on that. Freddie Fermin, can he do it again against the very good left-hander Christopher Sanchez? As always, thank you for listening to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. Well, the Padres have lost 3 in a row coming into this one. Can they end this homestand on a high note? This series finale against the Philadelphia Phillies? We're going to find out in just a little bit. When we come back, we send things out to Jesse Agler and Tony Gwynn Jr. They have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and all the play-by-play. I'll talk to you on our post-game coverage. You're listening to your home for San Diego Padres baseball, 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. Enjoy the game, everybody.
If your windows can't keep up with the heat, it's time for an upgrade. At the Window Depot, windows are what we do. Biggest inventory, best prices, guaranteed. Found a lower price?